Before we leave today, I've got to show you this. There's such a militancy going on right now from the transgender world. They just feel like that we all are disrespecting them. And, you know, if people want to live their lives that way, but when a transgender person murders 3 9-year-olds and 3 other completely innocent adults, please don't tell me that they're under attack like the White House foolishly and stupidly did last week, having never mentioned, not once did the White House mention that Christians were targeted. They pretended that the real villains here were the Christians and the oppressed people under attack were transgender. And the result is some of these militants, I mean, they're just scary. I'm not sure this video comes from someone who identifies as a male or a female. It's hard to tell, but watch.
Let me tell you something about LGBTQ rights, about trans rights. This is only going in one direction. You will respect us. You can be upset. You can be angry. You can think it's unfair. You can feel like we're stealing something from you. But it's still only going in one direction. You will respect us.
Actually, no, I won't. I won't respect people who believe that there are a bunch of different genders or that you can walk in and out of one like you would change clothes. No, I don't respect that. I'm a biblical believer. And when people say, well, Jesus never said anything. Yeah, he did. He did say, male and female created he them. Those are his words. That's Old and New Testament. It's the whole book. I believe that. And I don't believe people. I think they're troubled. I think they need some help. I don't hate them. I really don't. I wish no ill upon them. But I'm not going to go around and say that's normal, because that ain't normal. And I'm going to tell you something. There's a few people that are standing up, maybe not always with the greatest grace or gentility. Marjorie Taylor Greene got interviewed on 60 Minutes. You may or may not like her, but I appreciated her courage in how she did not back off after being really challenged by Leslie Stahl. I want you to see this.
Things she says that are over the top, like
the Democrats are a party of pedophiles.
I would definitely say so. They support grooming children.
They are not pedophiles. Why would you say that?
Democrats support, even Joe Biden, the president himself, supports children being sexualized and having transgender surgeries. Sexualizing children is what pedophiles do to children.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. Okay. What arrogance. Yeah. Now, here's the thing I find interesting. I don't think all Democrats are pedophiles. I'm going to be very clear about that, because I don't. That's not accurate. What I think Marjorie Taylor Greene was getting to was that if you sexualize children, and a lot of the policies right now being put on the other side are sexualizing children. It's why you can have drag queen story hour for 6-year-olds. It's why that you can tell a 9-year-old that he or she can be chemically castrated or have a mutilating surgery done that will forever alter their physical bodies. That's sexualization of children. So her conclusion is, when you sexualize children, you're a pedophile. Again, not all Democrats believe that. Certainly they don't all push that. Here's what I think is fascinating. She's basically pushing back against this notion that all Republicans are racist and bigots and homophobes and transphobes. And even if you're not a Republican, but you believe in the biblical separation of gender and you believe there are two, then that makes you a bigot. So I'm kind of on the side of, you know, if you're going to play that game, you people on the left, everybody's going to play the same game.
Yeah.
You just can't have a live stream without Kamala Harris. I mean, she's the gift that just keeps on giving. They sent her to Africa this past week, I think just to keep her out of the public eye, but she couldn't hide, and we found her. And I want you to hear her comments in Ghana, because she had a wide-ranging discussion.
As you have mentioned, we have had today, this afternoon, a wide-ranging discussion. We have discussed a number of important topics, including the importance of concepts and priorities such as freedom and liberty, which are, to be sure, at the core of who we are as Americans and who Ghanaians are.
I just enjoy listening because the comic value of it. She spends more time saying less than almost anybody I've ever heard. And she says it with such a sense of authority. Let me tell you why this is important. Because important things must be said. So I want to say them. It gets better. She had a meeting with business leaders in Zambia.
Many of you at this table and the folks that you work with have a history of doing work on this continent, and we will benefit, I strongly believe, from hearing from you and from lessons learned.
Many of you at this table have had a history of doing work on this continent. That's profound. Of course they have a history of doing work on this continent. Where else would they have done their work? They live on that continent. Is that not the most ridiculous thing? And then she always says it with this, and you've done this very effectively.
We have a history of doing a live stream at this desk.
We do. And we use this desk to do the live stream. And it's live. And it's streamed. And that makes it a live stream. All right, here she is explaining apps on our smartphones to the Zambians, who I'm sure deeply appreciated the instruction.
And increasing the use and development of apps. On that last point, I'd ask you to just imagine your own smartphone and the apps that it contains, and what those apps then give you in terms of access to a myriad of information and systems that help you go about your daily life.
I mean, it's like she brought them their first smartphone and showed it to them and says, look at this. There are apps, and it can bring you information. As if they didn't know that already. It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Kamala.
Thank you.
We all feel so much better knowing that you're over there telling those Zambians about apps on their smartphone. Wow. Okay, let's take a couple of questions.
All right, let's take you back to New York City today. Don Martin is asking if it's possible to stack a grand jury against someone, and is it likely that that happened to Trump?
Oh, I don't think it's likely. I think it's a certainty. Grand juries, by the way, don't hear anything other than what the prosecutor presents. There are 23 people on a grand jury. You only have to get 12 votes, not a unanimous verdict. 12 votes will cause an indictment. They only hear what the prosecutor tells them. There is no defense witness. The defendant doesn't get to come. He doesn't get to send his attorney. You hear nothing from the other side. You only hear one side. It's the easiest thing in the world to get an indictment from a grand jury. The bar is low. So that's no big shock.
So a week and a half ago, Sean Spicer mentioned on our show that the statute of limitations had long run out on the case against President Trump that Bragg is bringing against him. Is that the case?
That is the case. And that has been repeatedly affirmed by legal scholars like Jonathan Turley, Alan Dershowitz, and others, by the way, both of whom are not Trump supporters. They didn't vote for Trump. They're liberals, but they're also constitutionalists. And they're the ones who have made it very clear that statute of limitations ran out on this years ago, and he's having to really go through some machinations to be able to present it.